Alright, hello gamers, Muckluck here, and we are back with some more possible Guild Wars 2 news. Guild Wars 2 posted on Twitter this morning. They said, hear from our game director, Josh Davis, about the exciting things coming to Guild Wars 2 in our latest studio update. Spoiler alert, prepare to meet the Midnight King. Spoiler alert, we met him last time. There was actually a big part of the story. We have met the Midnight King already. And then there is a link to a blog post, which is right here, and there is a video as well. So I'm just going to go through this information in order and see if there's anything new and juicy in here for our consumption. So, studio update, Guild Wars 2 in spring and summer 2024. Greetings, Guild Wars community. My name is Josh Davis, and I'm the game director for Guild Wars 2. I'm excited to present the spring and summer 2024 studio update and give you the latest scoop on what's coming to Tyria. We have a lot of ground to cover today, from Guild Wars 2 Soto to World v World to player versus player and more, so let's dive right into things. Guild Wars 2 Secrets of the Obscure, the Midnight King. The final update for Guild Wars 2 Soto, the Midnight King, will arrive next Tuesday, May 21st. This content will be available for free to all current and future owners of Guild Wars 2 Soto. And then there is a video. And so I'll pause the reading here, and I have the video pulled up here in another tab, and we will check this out.
Children of Nyos, you have lived in nightmare for millennia now. Not one day longer.
Every hour, more of my soldiers die. I fear we march to our end. And finally, she brings herself before the throne. I've been waiting. Princess of Traitors.
Okay. So that's it for that. And then new content available. Hold on a second. New content available May 21st. Play for free if you own the expansion. Wooden Potatoes is going to have a 48-minute video on his channel about that roar. If you're interested in watching that, be sure to check him out. Spoiler alert, it's the Midnight King's ex-wife. Alright, so continuing with the reading. These final story chapters will bring the commander deeper into the world of Naos, to the citadel of Zakiros, where the indomitable Midnight King himself resides. These story chapters come with expanded playable space in Inner Naos and a climactic meta-event chain. In addition, this release also includes the Lonely Tower, our latest fractal dungeon, the second tier of the legendary Obsidian armor, refreshed Wizard's Vault rewards and challenges, and 6 new relics. We'll spend a few weeks monitoring the fractal dungeon and balancing the encounter if needed, and then on June 4th we'll introduce the Fractals Challenge mode. Speaking of challenge mode, we're excited to announce the May 21st release will also include a challenge mode for the squad-based version of Convergences, and its 5 legendary bosses. Yes, a 5th boss is coming. You'll fight amped up versions of each encounter while dealing with stricter resurrection rules. You'll earn extra rewards for your efforts, and achieving a gold rank clear time on all 5 encounters will net you a new title to show off to all your pals. We're also adding in an in-game leaderboard for all 5 bosses, so you can compete with your friends for the fastest clear times of bragging rights. Interesting. Convergence challenge mode. So I'm curious if it will do the same kind of scaling. Because, like, for example, in normal convergences, like, I would say I feel pretty comfy doing it with 30 or more people. But you could go in with 50. So I wonder if people will find, like, oh, it's easier to do it with 30 really good people than 50 decent people or something like that. Finally, we have 3 exciting quality of life updates coming with this release. First, the squad messages will now appear when hovering over commander icons on the minimap. These will make it easier to identify the purpose of a squad, especially when you have multiple commanders operating on the same map. Octovine is the first one that comes to mind. There's often 4 there. Second, by popular request, we're introducing a nifty accessibility upgrade that allows players to customize the color and shape of the targeting reticle while using the action camera mode. Does anyone still do that? I'm kidding. I know there's 2 of you. And finally, we are increasing the guild membership limit from 5 to 6 for all players. Time to make some more friends. As a reminder, they said they were increasing the number of guilds you could join by 1 for all the people complaining that they needed to be in another guild in order to do the upcoming World v World stuff, like the alliances and all. So be sure to save that slot for World v World guild if you care about that. And then here's action camera reticle settings, a screenshot of it with some colors that you can change and some different reticles as well. World v World updates. Wait, hold on. Who's adding me? Muck can use his direct line to ANET, which he totally has to make it happen. I don't know what you're talking about, chat, but I promise you the answer is no, I cannot. Their response to any of my messages is just red 10:48 p.m. All right, World v World updates. It's happening. We're excited to announce that World Restructuring System will be moving into an always-on beta status beginning with World v World Reset June 14th. This feature has been a long time coming, 8 years, and there will undoubtedly be kinks that we'll need to iron out with the launch, but making the feature perpetually available to players will allow us to iterate on the system more quickly than the limited beta events we've run previously. For example, we're continuing to hammer out the remaining queue bugs. To further mitigate the queue issue in the short term, we'll add an additional tier to both NA and EU World v World, which will reduce the queue length for maps during prime time. As a note, the end of the final relinking period will be extended from May 31st to June 14th. We have important changes coming to help prepare for the introduction of World Restructuring. We are increasing the guild membership limit from 5 to 6 to give World v World players some added flexibility in creating or joining guilds for World Restructuring. Second, we're introducing an in-game timer under the name Next Team Creation Lockout in the guild panel to help communicate when changes to battle guilds will take effect. Okay. Finally, to help memorialize the worlds we've been battling over for the past 12 years, you'll be able to don a new title to honor them. Example, Anvil Rock Veteran. These will be available as a free one-time purchase from Commander Warraiser in World v World. We recognize that the world you consider your true home may not be the world you currently reside on, so we're leaving it up to you to choose the title that means the most to you. Choose carefully. So we could just be oops all Maguma. The May 21st update will bring some quality of life and balance adjustments, largely in response to the feedback we've been monitoring since our last round of changes, April 16th. We're continuing to observe the impact of recent changes and expect to iterate more on World v World systems and future updates. The health bar for objective lords will now be displayed in the event UI, making their status easier to track. Pro tip, clicking the lord's health bar in the event UI will make them your active target. It works for PV events too. That is true. Any event in the game where there is a health bar over here, usually if you click on it, if you're in range of that thing, you target it. That's especially useful in Drizzlewood when you're fighting the sniper and then he makes 10 Naruto shadow clones. You could just click on the health bar in the UI and it targets the real one. And then you just walk over to that guy and ignore all the others. Siege disruptors will now be unblockable. We're increasing the base level and tier 3 supply capacities for keeps by 50 and increasing the amount of supply granted by the supply drop tactic by 100 to add some power back to defending. The Chilling Fog Tactivator now heals allied players every few seconds for its duration instead of chilling enemy players. Chilling Fog no longer chills. Okay. We're also planning a round of World v World changes for the July 16th release that are focused on scoring adjustment. We'll be back in a few months to talk about those changes in more details. PvP updates. On June 25th, we'll be introducing some quality of life and rewards improvements in preparation for the start of the next ranked season that starts July 2nd. To add some new build options, we're introducing new attribute amulets. Heretic, 1000 power, 1000 precision, 500 healing power, 500 ferocity. And Tyrant, 1000 power, 1000 condition damage, 500 precision, 500 toughness. And adding Ogre and Tormenting Runes. On the rewards front, our goal is to make Ascended Armor and weapons more accessible in PvP by increasing the number of Grandmaster marks that can be earned each season and decreasing the number of Ascended Shards of Glory needed to purchase Ascended Armor and weapons. We'll also be introducing reward track potions and adding new sources for karma from PvP rewards. Finally, like the prestigious color titles we've added for World v World Endgame PvE, we'll be updating the Champion Brawler title awarded for winning 10,000 rated arena games to a colored version. Thank God. In the July 16th update, we'll adjust the frequency of our daily automated tournaments to consolidate teams into fewer events and increase competitiveness. We'll also add a new weekly tournament event on Sunday in each region that features increased rewards. This seems like a good time to mention that we'll also be bringing back the Tournament of Legends event on a twice-yearly cadence, and we'll be back in the near future to confirm the next event date. We'll also address some long-standing feedback on the Jin's Dominion map in the July 16th update by making some improvements to the secondary map objective and the associated special action skills. Jin's Dominion is the only PvP map that when you go in there, it stops playing in-game music. And then it just doesn't play any the entire time you're in there. So it's like creepy quiet if you're using only in-game sounds. And there was one day that one of the developers that worked at ArenaNet at the time came to my chat, and I complained about that. I was like, hey, can you pass this along to whoever? And he's like, wait, what? He's like, there's no music on the map? And I'm like, no. And he's like, I'm the one who set up that map. And I'm like, well, we know whose fault it is. And he laughed, and he quit ArenaNet. I'm not joking. That guy doesn't work there anymore. He just laughed it off, and then, okay. Skills and balance update. Our next set of skills and balance updates will arrive on June 25th. We're primarily focused on improving the usability of underperformed skills, utilities, and traits, and bringing in outlier builds when necessary. As usual, the Skills and Balance team will be live on Twitch next Friday, May 24th at noon Pacific to give a preview of the update, and the release notes preview will be live on our forum shortly after. We'll see you there. And then there is a picture of Naos, the inner Naos. Got this castle thing with some floating spires. Festivals and bonus events. Here's the full schedule of festivals and bonus events coming to Guild Wars 2 in the next few months. June 24th to 25th is Dragon Bash. July 2nd is the start of PvP Conquest Season 42. July 2nd to July 9th is Sunken Treasure Week. July 9th to July 16th is Dungeon Rush Bonus Event. July 16th to the 23rd is PvP Rush Bonus Event. July 23rd to the 30th is Living World Season 3 Bonus Event. July 30th to August 20th is Festival of the Four Winds. Don't forget to bookmark our handy event calendar to keep tabs on what's happening in the game, and there's a link to that if you want it. Aren't you forgetting something? Oh, right. What happens after the Midnight King? Well, you'll find out very soon, as it turns out. In the next few weeks, we'll post a development retrospective blog for Guild Wars 2 Soto that talks about what we've learned from the process and how we're taking those lessons into our next expansion. I'm going to pause there for just a second. Excuse my sniffles. I anticipate some interesting information from that. So they announced before Soto that they were switching to this yearly expansion cadence, where they were going to do, instead of big expansions and living worlds, they were instead going to do a mini expansion once a year. And then at 3 months, 6 months, and 9 months markers, they were going to add stuff into that expansion. And then after 1 year, release another expansion. And that was what they were going to do. If you take a team of people and you give them any task and you say, hey, do this once a year from now on, the first year is going to be the toughest one because they're going to have to figure out how to streamline it, essentially. Like, okay, well, I need to do this task and then hand this off to Bob. And then Bob does this thing and hands it off to Sally. Now, Sally needs like 2 weeks with that before she passes it on to Jim. Okay, so we need to have that done by this day. Like, there's so much in the workflow that can be learned from in year one that will affect the future years. I would imagine in terms of workflow that they learned a lot during this 1 year Soto thing. Now, that does not mean from our perspective that the second yearly expansion is going to be dramatically different. But it might be dramatically easier on them as developers to make the future expansions based on what they've learned from this one. That's just my thoughts as someone that used to, work in tech. Shortly after that, you'll get your first look at what the next expansion has to offer. Between that and everything we talked about above, it's shaping up to be a pretty exciting summer. As a final note, I'd like to take a moment to extend a heartfelt congratulations to 4 remarkable individuals who recently celebrated their 20-year anniversaries working at ArenaNet. Timey works there? Timmy Foot, the environment art lead, Aaron Coberly, the art director, Andrew Frosty Gray, the lead designer, and Matthew Medina, the narrative designer. Thank you for your undying dedication, creativity, and passion. Here's to many more years of crafting incredible experiences together. To our community, as always, thank you for your continued support. We'll see you in the game. Josh, not an actual Grouch Davis, game director. And then there's a picture of a calendar here. It says in May 21st, final story chapter, new playable space in Interneos, the Lonely Tower Fractal Dungeon, Tier 2 Obsidian Legendary Armor, new Convergence boss and challenge mode, updated Wizards Vault rewards and challenges. June 4th, Dragon Bash Festival, Lonely Tower Fractal Dungeon challenge mode, 24/7 365 World Restructuring beta begins, Skills and Balance update, Ranked PvP rewards update. July 16th, PvP Quality of Life update, World v World Quality of Life update, Festival of the Four Winds. So, thoughts. My thoughts on all this. Some of this is pretty cool. Like, let's just take it from the top here. So first off, we've got this trailer. And looking at this trailer, you know, we already knew about the Midnight King. He's blah, 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 come at me. I'm going to waka waka everything. Pathos saying, demons rise up. You've been slaves for too long. And then Nephis, who only wanted to, like, we basically blackmailed him into working for us. And well, blackmail's not the right word. We kind of tricked him into a situation where he was forced to work with us, and now he's losing his people. He seems upset about that. So I don't know if he's going to be loyal with us, because he seems very upset about the demons that are dying. And then we see what appears to be like the final shot, which is once again just the main characters lined up and no one else. Actually, wait, are those other demons right there? I hope there are. I hope there are. I want to see an epic battle. Like Drizzlewood Coast, there's constantly little battles around it where tons of char of the different factions are like crashing into each other. This Naos needs more of that. Naos has a case of like, you know, in Star Trek where the away team was always like just the main characters from the bridge. It was just like the captain, the second in command, the best doctor, and the best engineer go down to the planet, which was always a stupid plan. Like, this just gives me vibes of that. I want to see some big battles. The last chapter had that moment where we went to war and they were like, pincer formation. And I'm like, bro, there's two of us. Yeah, our formation is hold hands. So I do hope to see some just some more bodies that are thrown in there. As far as in this trailer, I don't know that there's any new lore here. Patha telling the people to rise up, the king saying blah blah blah, I hate you, and then that's kind of it here. Story finale, what do we have here? Meta event, Into the Spider's Lair, Tier 2 Leggy Armor, which for those who don't remember, Obsidian Armor has a Tier 2 version. It will not be better in stats, it will be the same in stats, but it will be shinier in some way, like it'll be prettier. So, you know, you'll have the option of probably doing some minor additions to your Tier 1 armor if you want the graphics to change. New Fractal Lonely Tower. The last Fractal that came out was the Silent Surf. The Silent Surf was kind of a mess. When they released it, there was a lot of speculation that Silent Surf was supposed to be a strike mission because of a lot of glitches and stuff that were in it that were then fixed later on. Like, you couldn't revive people because it was labeled as a strike and not a fractal. They did a bunch of changes to it. Like, the boss would steal your boons, but if he stole quickness or alacrity, it would mess up his timers and then he would kill you and you couldn't do anything about it. Then there was a version of him where he was soloable, shout out to Lord Hyzen, and then they changed that so that you couldn't do that anymore. And it's largely fine now. It's okay. So eager, you know, I'm hoping for a smooth launch. What I'm getting at from this rant is that I'm hoping that there is a smooth launch of the Lonely Tower, because the last one was a bit of a mess. All right, so that's it for that. And then going on further down, we know that there's going to be a new chunk of Naos, and it'll have a meta event chain. In addition to that, since the Naos map will be complete, it'll be easier to get the full map. So if you are working on like Obsidian Legendary Armor and you need to get like the full map completion or light all the lanterns or whatever, there will be a new way of doing that going forward after that moment. Let's see, let's talk about Lonely Tower, the Obsidian Armor, the Wizard's Vault will refresh. 6 new relics. I believe if you have the Legendary Relic, that any relics from Soto will be automatically added to it. But after Soto, you have to acquire those relics at least once for them to be added to your Legendary Relic drop-down menu. As an example of that, I'm going to go right here. So here's like all the relics in the game so far, but we're going to have to, got to catch them all after Soto is over, they said. Speaking of challenge mode, we got the challenge mode for convergences coming out. I'm sure big communities like Hardstuck are going to love this. I'm curious to see, will it be puggable? So the toughest open world stuff that I can think of off the top of my head is like Dragon's End when it first came out, and things like Triple Trouble. Which Triple Trouble doesn't require big numbers, like people doing huge DPS, but it requires coordination. And it requires people doing what they're supposed to do. Dragon's End requires people doing what they're supposed to do and decent numbers. Convergences, I'm curious how it will be. Because like when I lead a convergence with just a pug, like I just grab random people, I just give some simple orders, like I put people in groups, and I'm like, group 1 and 2, you guys hang out in the middle. Group 3 and 4, you go to the bottom left and we split up. 5 and 6 go to the bottom right and we split up. Group 7 deal with the trebuchets. Everyone else just kind of, do whatever. And that's usually enough. And then occasionally I'll be like, yo, heal Zoja. And, I just have to shout out something like that. So I'm curious how nasty this is going to be. If it's something that is like puggable with a decent pug, I'll make a guide for it and I'll throw it up there. If it's something that only like really, really super coordinated groups can do, meaning I myself am not able to get a kill on it, then I'm not sure if I'll be able to make one. Kind of like with challenge mode Harvest Temple. I never made a guide for that because it's just not something that people could feasibly pug. Okay, so ramped up version of the encounters, the quality of life updates. We're getting the new guild membership slot. Reminder that was intended for people who need another slot for World v World, but you can do what you want with it if you don't care. Just don't complain that you don't have enough slots after that. Be sure that you are connected to the right guild for the World v World you want to do if you enjoy doing World v World. Couple of mount stuff. PvP. My eyes kind of lit up when I saw 2 new attribute amulets. So in the time that I have been an active player in this game, which is about 6 years now I've been active, they've removed like half of the amulets in PvP. Like, there was like the bunker meta, so they removed all the big toughness amulets. And then there was healers were too tough to kill, so they removed all the vitality amulets and all the healing power amulets, where those are the primary stats. Then there was a season where Celestial Stat Renegade was able to just like one-shot people using the 7-shot skill on their bow. So they removed Selly amulets. Not the Renegade, they removed the amulet. And just stuff like that. Just things like that keep happening, and then the selection keeps getting smaller and smaller. So it's cool that they're adding 2 new ones, but the ones that they're adding are not really, they're still just offensive amulets. I worry that this is not really going to change much, which in the problem right now is that, too many of the builds are kind of glass cannon-y, and this seems to be more of that. This is kind of interesting. 1,000 power, 1,000 condi, 500 toughness. This one is like almost Zerker, but it has healing power. This is interesting, but I don't know that it's going to shift the meta at all. I'd be happy if I'm wrong, to be clear. I'd be happy if I'm wrong, but I don't know that it's going to change anything. They're making Ascended Armor more accessible in PvP. I don't really think there's any problem with how Ascended Armor is gathered in PvP, but since the time that system was set up, they have made it much easier to get everywhere else. Like for the Strike Merchant, for example, when they set up PvP reward system, you were not able to just get Ascended stuff from strikes. You couldn't get stat selectable stuff from walking into World v World like you can now, things like that. Automated tournaments, less often per day to increase competitiveness. I wonder if that is like a population issue. For those that don't actively PvP, you could see like there's a tournament in 3 minutes. There's one in 3 hours, 6 hours, 9 hours, and so on and so on. So there's usually many a day. So I guess they're quite profitable. For example, if you join one of these and like no one else joins, you can get a ton of Mystic coins if you're like the only active group. If they're gonna do that, that'll be interesting to see what effect it has on the community if it works out the way that they're hoping to. And then the Tournament of Legends, Jin's Dominion map. I have no problem. I mean, like I mentioned, the music on that map, I always have to turn on an external music source whenever I'm playing that on stream. I like the map, but I will say, like, almost no one cares about the special thing on that map. You know, you've got, like, you know, the map with the trebuchet and then the map with the cannons and stuff like that. Jin's Dominion has the lamp. And there's sometimes entire matches where no one goes in the lamp. It's, like, sometimes people do, but it's kind of a thing. It's not a huge deal. So maybe they're trying to make the actual objective in there be more desirable. Skills and balance update. I love balance patches. I'm always hoping to see them fix things. I'm often wrong, but I very much looking forward to this. Festival, if you're new to Dragon Bash, I'll link a guide for it that I've made in the past when we get closer to that. And let's see. I think that's it. And then of course they'll be releasing teasers about the next expansion after that afterward. Yeah, May 24th, we're going to have some more information from their live stream, and very much looking forward to that. And I think that's everything. As always, I'll have links to all of this down in the comment section down below. So if you want to see anything, read it for yourself, watch it for yourself, what have you, you'll be able to do so. And if you got any questions, problems, thoughts, concerns, leave them down in the comment section, and I will fight you there.